Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shahab Karni from the studios of Television I-95. Today, we have a very interesting topic. And connecting with the topic, I have the relevant guest, and I'm going to give an introduction. We're going to be talking about Afghanistan situation and the forthcoming US withdrawal, which is going to happen, or gradually it has happened already, but it will be finished. The cycle is going to be completed by September first week or second week of September this year. So I have with me on my request, and I'm grateful that in a short notice he was able to join me, Abdul Qayyum Khan Kundi. And Mr. Kundi is an author and expert on South Asia, and also at the same time, he has been advising for some time the different political parties in Pakistan and South Asia on that region. Welcome to my studio, Mr. Kundi.
Thank you, Shahab. Nice. Assalamu alaikum to all your viewers.
Thank you. Walaikum salam. So, Mr. Kundi, as I said, what do you think about this Afghan situation and the US withdrawal? What do you see, or what is coming, or what is forthcoming? What is your hunch on this?
Well, my first reaction is that there is a lot of disappointment in the region. The South Asian region feels that the America has once again abandoned them, and because the expectation was that US will eventually leave, right? No war lasts forever, right? So there was an expectation that US will end that war and leave and withdraw its forces. But the expectation was that there will be a political roadmap so that the situation does not deteriorate to a civil war. That expectation has not been met, and because of that, there is a lot of disappointment about the US decision to withdraw forces without developing a political roadmap for Afghanistan.
So, coming back to another question, Mr. Kundi, that especially current situation in Afghanistan, it's not nothing new. I mean, this has been going on for almost like, I would say, 50 some years now. Chaos and confusion, and they've gone through different cycles, starting from Dawood and King Zahir Shah, and then changing to different kind of governments. Russian invade, the Soviet invasion, then the Taliban, and then American, Pakistan, and local proxy wars in that region. I'm not going to name into different countries, but my question to you, Mr. Kundi, is threefold. One, do you see this chaos, confusion, and crisis in that region? Is this something to do with religion or economy, or this is a political dilemma? What is
Well,
your
I've
take?
always, yeah, it's a very good question and a pertinent question to ask. I've always maintained that Afghan Taliban are a nationalistic movement. They have used religion to legitimize their struggle and to recruit young men to become part of their militia. But it has always been a nationalistic movement. So it's a misconception or misperception in the West that religion has something got to do with Afghan Taliban. And if you look at their history, they have not invaded any other country. They have always said that they want to restrict themselves to Afghan affairs. They don't want anybody to interfere in their country, and they will not interfere in any other country. And the Al Qaeda situation existed prior to Taliban. I mean, Al Qaeda was not created because of Taliban. Al Qaeda was already present in Afghanistan as an outcome of the Soviet jihadi movement that Afghans launched against the USSR. So Al Qaeda was already there when Taliban came to power. They wanted to introduce law and order and bring some sort of peace, but they are conservative, as we all know, and because of that conservative outlook on life, there is a misconception that Islam has something got to do with them.
So, well, of course, the point very well taken. But if that is the case, why we see a lot of factions within Afghanistan and infight among themselves? What is the historical background for that?
Yeah, Afghanistan is a very diverse country. According to some estimates, as a war-torn country, the statistics are not highly reliable. But according to most estimates, Pashtuns comprise 60% and 40% are other ethnicities like Tajik, Uzbek, Hazara. And other than that, there are also majority Sunni, Deobandi, Muslims, but there is also a strong faction of Shia Afghans. So Afghanistan is a very diverse country, uh, and since they have not seen stability and normalcy for a long period of time, there is a tribalism in that society, which creates tribal conflicts as well. So Afghanistan has always been unstable politically. There were short periods of stability during the King Zahir Shah and also the initial era of Dawood, but Afghans always fought with each other because of those tribal interests.
See, the other blame that the international community places on Afghans, that they're warriors, and for years, that whoever is the highest bidder, they go for proxy, and especially acting as mercenary forces for those proxy countries. What is your take on that?
It's true to some extent. If war has always been the main economic activity, or fighting has always been the main economic activity in Afghanistan, they used to provide protection to caravans that were traveling from India and China to Central Asia, and they would take protection money from those caravans. Then when the drugs were introduced, the poppy crop became a major activity. So to some extent, yes, Afghanistan has always been relying on war economy, and unfortunately, it looks like that for the foreseeable future, that will remain the main activity, which is what something that Afghans have to think about and realize that do they want to continue as a tribal society, or do they want to convert into a normal state, and be accommodative of diversity and being inclusive.
So now, while we're talking about this U.S. withdrawal, and you used the term in the beginning that again Afghans or that region feel that they are being abandoned by United States of America. What do you see as repercussions for America going forward? What is the way forward?
I see that the most important thing for any country is how other countries people look at you. I mean, we have surveys. We conduct surveys about how a country is being liked in another country. So if you do a survey right now of America in South Asia, uh, I can tell you that the numbers will be very low. Why? Because people feel that America has imposed war on them, and has always abandoned them when they had an opportunity to contribute towards the economic well-being and political stability. So this sudden withdrawal without uh, working towards a political roadmap for Afghanistan has once again, I think, damaged their goodwill among the people. So if America wants to and America has interest in South Asia, so they have to seriously think about how to improve their image in the people, in the eyes of the people. I recently met U.S. Congressman Jim Costa, who is a member of the U.S. Foreign Relations Committee, and I suggested to him that why don't you take a delegation to Pakistan of your committee members and go and check the ground reality. Go talk to the politicians, the member of the parliament, go talk to the civic associations, go talk to the press, go talk to people from all walks of life, so you get a better appreciation of how people feel about US, and how the people to people trust and confidence can be built up.
Well, thank you for bringing Pakistan into this dynamic. When you talk about Pakistan, recently or for some time, we have been hearing from different American policymakers and the actors and the players from the past that Pakistani military establishment cannot be trusted. And according to them, quote unquote, they play games of deception and lies and double games. What is your take on that?
Well, I would say it's unfair. I mean, unfair for two reasons. Number one, all countries when they engage in foreign affairs have a diplomacy. Have a duplicity. If you say that America has always done what they have said, it's not true. If you say any other country has always done what they said, it's not true. Same is true for Pakistan. Pakistan will always and all decision makers in Pakistan will always strive to protect the national interest and will do whatever they can to protect it. So I think it's quite unfair to say that Pakistan has a duplicity and they're a two-faced nation. I don't agree with it. And I think it's unfortunate that despite all the sacrifices we have made uh, to have peace in that region, we are still get that label. The other thing that I want to say is that US is always comfortable dealing with military leaders rather than with civilians. And even now, if you look at the situation, there are more meetings conducted with the military leadership rather than the Foreign Affairs Committee and members of parliament. So if you sideline the civilians, the result is that uh, the military has a particular point of view. As soldiers, they look at things in a narrow with a narrow lens. So when you only talk to the military leaders and ignore the civilian leadership, the damage you get is that you get a narrow view of the situation, and the second is that you lose trust of the people. Because if you ignore the agents of the people, that means you're ignoring the people, and that creates a mistrust, and the relationship does not get deeper roots. So I would suggest to the U.S. Policymakers that they should reach out to the civilian members of parliament, especially the Foreign Relations Committee. We have a very good Foreign Relations Committee. There was a briefing conducted by the military leadership for 8 hours to these parliamentarians. We also have a very active Senate Foreign Relations Committee. So the U.S. Congress Foreign Relations Committee, U.S. Secretary of State, U.S. Department of State, they should reach out to the Pakistani parliamentarians who are the representative of the people and talk to them about the Afghan situation and try to form an understanding. But if they try to push a decision on us like it was done with Musharraf, that one phone call was made and he was told to comply or there will be repercussions, then the relationship will not get depth. It will not get the support of the people, and that is not in the interest of US, and it's not in the interest of Pakistan or Afghanistan.
Thank you, Mr. Kundi. Now, my final question to you, that Afghanistan combined with Pakistan, of course, being a nuclear state, it happens to be like a gateway for all trade and commerce in Central Asia for the entire region. And while China is expanding into all those different means towards Iran and Central Asia, Turkey is changing in 2023. Dynamic in Turkey is going to change also. You know what I'm talking about. So, way forward, what do you think? What will be, as an American, a Pakistani American, or from that region, what will be your pointers towards the US administration, especially Biden administration, as a way forward to be engaged? So, can you elaborate on that?
Well, first is that they should increase interaction with the civilian leadership. Okay, I see that is not happening. So I have my strong recommendation. For instance, Biden says that Afghanistan is important for them, but they have not spoken to the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Do you think that's a good thing? It's not a good thing, because if you ignore the civilian leader of a country, that means you are ignoring the wish of the people. So I object to that, and I think uh, Biden administration, President Biden should reach out to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and talk to him about the Afghan going forward. What will be the roadmap for Afghanistan and how an understanding can be formed? Pakistan is the fifth largest country in the world. You can't ignore it. Okay, we may be economically down right now, although our numbers are now improving, but we have a very disciplined, organized army. We are a seventh nuclear power. We have a very large consumer base. We have a very large middle class. Uh, Prime Minister Modi has made terrible mistake by not improving relations with Pakistan, because if Pakistan was not in the middle, the Afghan quagmire or the Afghan instability would have reached the Indian borders and would have damaged their economic progress. So Modi should be thankful to Pakistan rather than taking aggressive unilateral actions to damage that relationship. So Pakistan is a gateway uh, uh, to the Central Asia, to actually Europe. If you look at the map, if China wants to do land trade, there's a very good route from Pakistan, Iran, Turkey to Europe. If you look at the Indian map, you will see that if India wants access to the Central Asian oil and gas, they need Pakistan and Afghanistan, but Pakistan first because we are their neighbor. So uh, the point is that Pakistan, being a very large country, as the fifth large country in the world, being located at the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz, uh, you know, if any country want to block Strait of Hormuz, that is Pakistan. Pakistan is a peace-loving country. That's why we have never shown aggression. But Strait of Hormuz cannot operate peacefully, contributing 25% of the world trade if Pakistan is not ensuring peace in its waters. So Pakistan is a very important country, and if US wants to overlook it, it is to their own peril. If China overlooks it, it's to their own peril. If EU overlooks Pakistan and thinks that by ignoring Pakistan they can achieve their objectives in Asia and Indo-Pacific, these are all mistaken notions. Pakistan cannot be ignored. They can, all these powers can work with Pakistan, and form an understanding. But if they think that they can ignore Pakistan and have a Indo-Pacific strategy, I don't think it's going to work. So I think all these countries should seriously consider and reach out to Pakistan and form an understanding.
Mr. Kundi, I'm so grateful. Thank you very much, sir, that you were able to join me. And of course, in coming weeks, we are going to be inviting you on this subject and other subjects. Thank you very much for joining me, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.